Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon. Hey guys, it's Videozo back at another Card Fight Vanguard deck profile. If you guys enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to the Patreon. Let's get one started, shall we? Today we have Pale Moon, Luquier deck profile. So, or Luquier, reverse Dotto, by the way. So, I don't really need to discuss it, but if I need to discuss it, waifu deck that everyone seems to love, maybe besides me and a handful of other people, and nets a board, gets a fuck ton of Excel gifts, and BS. That's how you describe this deck, just BS. So let's go ahead and get started, and I can go into detail about how BS this deck does. First up, we have our starter in Silver and Thorn Assistant Elonia. Grade 0, boost, 10k shield, 6k base, auto, once rolled upon, draw a card, then if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 1 or grade, you get a quick show ticket to your hand. Nothing special about it, it's a standard starter. The reason why you run is because you need Silver and Thorns in their card names for your skills to go off. That is to some extent true. I forgot if the reverse requires you to lock Silver Thorns, but if it does, you run this regardless just in case, especially for the skills that do require Silver Thorns and you want to have those skills activate. So, you know, for once the starter does actually matter, so I do suggest running this because there are cards I know that do require Silver Thorns, so yeah, that's our starter. Trigger-wise, we run 4 Draw PG and Hades Hypnotist. Grade 0, boost, 0 shield, 5k base, draw trigger, change sound 4 sounds in your deck and auto guard circle in place. Discard a card from your hand and whatever you use cannot be hit on the battle. Standard Draw PG, nothing too special about it. And the other triggers, if you're wondering, are 4 fronts in Silver and Thorn Beast Tamer Sergei, 4 crits in Silver and Thorn Barking Dragon, and 4 heals in Candy Clown. Yes, unfortunately there are no heals or draws with Silver Thorn, the card names in V, but I do run the other ones. The reason why we're running Rainbow, it is because draws help get hand cards, and this deck does a lot of discarding, and you also have to more or less make up a back row from your hand, so you do want those draws for that purpose. You also want to make sure you get your main grade 3s. Fronts. More power to front row, because 9k is not enough to beat the opponent to shit. You must prove the point that they need to get the shit beat out of them. And crits, because, you know, if you have a constant front row plus 9k, or at least plus 5, you're going to want crits to, you know, make those numbers slightly more dangerous with an extra critical behind them, so that's pretty nice. And heals, I've already said why I don't like Heal Guardians. If you want a more detailed explanation of it, go watch a video from 4 weeks ago, but the narrowed down version of it is detrimental to my playstyle. So yeah, but the heals work fine in this deck. On to grade 1s, shall we? 3 copies of Silver and Thorn Conjurer, Romy. Grade 1, boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Act, rear, rest this unit, shove it to soul. Look at top 3, put any number of cards with Silver and Thorn in their card names from on them to soul and send the rest to bottom in any order. I greatly question why they required you to rest this instead of just sending it straight to soul. Like, I'm sorry, what part of that was necessary for it to rest when it's just going to go right into soul from the other half of its cost? I greatly question that. Maybe it's just because they don't want it to be like against decks such as Meg Colony that paralyze it and then they could just get rid of it. I guess, maybe, I'm not so sure. But you know, you just get a free look at top 3 and literally any number of Silver and Thorns, whether they're normal units or not. So Sergei and Barking Dragon over here can get sent right to soul and the rest do go to bottom. You might not want to send the triggers to soul unless you're really trying to go for a grade 2 rush with a very specific grade 2. But you know, Romy can help get you 3 soul for free more or less, and it's a quick little way to do the Misaki strategy of just memorizing what goes to the bottom of your deck and then save up for trigger sacking up later. So 3 copies of Romy because she gets you a possible free 3 soul charge and can make your grade 2 rush a lot easier. Next up, we have 4 copies of Silver and Thorn Assistant, Irena, one of the 2 grade 1s you are good with riding. Grade 1, boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto rear when placed from hand, look at top 2, put 1 into the soul, and put the other at the bottom of the deck. So, really nice. You can send 1 card to the bottom, possibly a trigger, and you can send the other to soul. Hopefully that's not a trigger. Hopefully one of them is at least a Silver and Thorn, so you're not really losing anything out of it, but considering the only 2 cards in this deck that aren't Silver Thorn are the heal and the PG, you are most likely going to hit a Silver and Thorn from this effect. And auto, when it's rolled upon, look at the top 3, choose any number of Silver and Thorns from among them, put them into soul, and put the rest on the bottom. If you put 2 or more, you draw a card. So you know, that's really good. If you get to ride this, you don't have to pay any counterblast or soul blast or discard for it. You just get a free top 3 search. Do the same thing as Romy, except if you put 2 or more, you get an extra draw out of it. So that's really nice. Irena works as both a grade 1 ride target, but also works as a grade 1 on place. Unfortunately, you cannot place her from soul for an effect to go off, but she still works to keep her in hand, so you know, she does her job fine. So 4 copies of Irena. And then 4 copies of our last grade 1 and what would be argued as the main grade 1 right target. Silver and Thorn Beast Tamer Ana. Grade 1, boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Auto when it's rode upon by a unit with Silver and Thorn, its card name, countercharge 1. Yeah, like I said earlier, there's only 2 units in this deck that don't have Silver and Thorn in their card names, and they are both triggers, so the fact of that ability not going off is almost impossible. And auto when it's placed on rear from your soul by the ability of your Vanguard of Silver and Thorn's card name, if you do not countercharge this turn by any means, shove this unit and another Silver and Thorn card into your soul and countercharge 1. I swear Silver and Thorns had a broken countercharger back in the day. I mean, not back in the day, back in just V before this, but I genuinely either cannot find it or I don't remember its name. I swear they had one, because I remember spamming something against my friend when I was playing Silver Thorns, and I had so much countercharge, but I cannot remember what it is for the life of me. Either way, Ana's really good. She has the Silver Thorn name. She can net you a countercharge by riding on her, and the grade 2 ride target does cost a counterblast. Well, the 2 grade 2 ride targets cost a counterblast to use their skills, so that basically guarantees that as long as you ride this, your grade 2 ride is free for your skills. And not to mention that if you get to call her from Soul, yeah, you are losing a unit out of it, but you can send another unit to Soul. I mean, you're losing 2 units out of it, but you're going to get a counter charge, and most of your call skills cost 1 counterblast. So basically, you call most of a board for the sake of a free skill. So 4 copies of Anna, because she is really good in the fact that she can net you counterblast back. So 4 of. Grade 2 time, 4 copies of Silver Thorn Rising Dragon. Grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 9k base. Continues rear, if you call 2 or more cards from your soul, this turn gets plus 10. Okay, I don't need to tell you how good that is, but if I need to explain it, this thing is straight up in the finisher of, like, every game whenever I've played Silver and Thorns. Like, okay, yes, with the reverse around, it is slightly less of the reason why it's a finisher, but god, this thing, Venus Luquier into this every turn, 24k swing when it's on the Excel gift plus Luquier, 29k swing while the opponent's at grade 2. Ah, no, that's not fair at all. And then you just spam 4 of them the next turn because all 4 ended up in soul via the selective soul charging of Irena, Romy, and the 2 that ended up in hand that you shoved to soul via Venus. Yeah, no, Rising. Ah, and the best part is he doesn't have to be called from soul for his effect to go off. 4 of. I would say this is the best card in the deck, but I do have a strong opinion about that. But I am going to say he's an MVP among the cards in here. There are other MVPs, but this is my favorite one. MVP. 4 of. And then 4 of the other MVP, but also my least favorite in the comparison to the 2, because I am more biased towards the dragon. 4 copies of the grade, one of the 2 main grade 2s. Silver Thorn Marionette Lillian. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 9k base. So if you can't tell, I've been saying one of the mains for both grade 1 and grade 2s. And that's because both of them have alternate rides. It's like you can ride Irena and go into Lillian, or ride Irena and go into the other one, Marcia. Or you could ride Anna and go into Lillian, or you can ride Anna and go into Marcia. Doesn't really matter. They each have their own selective skills. So for Lillian over here, Auto Vandereer when it's placed from hand, so you cannot use it by calling it from Soul. Counterblast 1, search your deck for 1 card with Silver Thorn as card name, shove it to Soul and shuffle your deck. Okay, before that wasn't that bad because, you know, the most this would net you is ability for the other skill, which is Auto Rearguard when it swings into a Vanguard. If your soul has 4 or more different cards with Silver Thorn in their card names, it gets plus 10 for that battle, so a 19k swing. You know, that's not really that bad. I mean, yeah, plus Luquier is a 24, but still. Thing is, though, now with reverse, you could, before you would just set up Soul, now you just can send your win con to Soul, who doesn't require the opponent to be at grade 3, and then you can do bullshit with said card. Lillian has, I mean, I ran her at 4 anyways, but now, like, she has stepped up in her role, I feel, because before she felt more like a supporting role, and now she does feel still like a supporting role, but god, that supporting role got upgraded via reverse. So, you know, she's really good. She nets you a search, and if you rode it on top of Ana, it is effectively a free search of any card. Can swing for a 19, and considering all your units probably will have some form of plussing 5 or less, more or less. So, you know, this is a 24 on an Excel gift. 29, assuming you picked Excel too. 29k swing on average. Yeah, Lillian's pretty dangerous. 4 of. She does this deck really well. And then our last grade 2 is the, once more, like Anna, quote-unquote main grade 2, but it's interchangeable between herself and Lillian. Silver Thorn Beast Tamer, Marcia, or Maricica. I probably said it right the first time, and now I can't say it again. Grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 9k base. Auto when it's placed on Vanguard Circle. They had to restrict it to Vanguard Circle. Come on, Bushy. Why do you always gotta restrict the Soul Charge skills to Vanguard? Counterblast 1 and Soul Charge 3. If your Soul Charge 2 or more cards with Silver Thorn in their card names, draw a card. Okay, so you ride this on top of Anna, use the Counterblast your opponent most likely gave you, Soul Charge 3. Hopefully 2 of them are Silver Thorns. They don't have to be normal units, and considering what's more, you would have to send either 2 heals or 2 draws or some combination between those 2 to Soul, because those are the only 2 cards in the deck that don't have Silver Thorn in their card names, to not draw a card. But then Anna will just countercharge it for you, so you just got a free Soul Charge 3 and draw of 1, possibly. So that's really nice. And then auto when it's placed on rearguard circle from your soul by the ability of your Vanguard with Silver Thorn as card name. Yes, it has to be Vanguard. If it's on rear, choose up to 1 grade 2 or greater Silver Thorn in its card name from your soul, call it to rearguard circle in the same column. No, there are not any Silver Thorn cards with the boost ability, nor ones that can give boost to my memory. There might be one, but I don't think there is. The reason for that is because reverse requires you to lock 3 cards of different grades. That is what Marsha is here for. You use this to call a grade 3, you got a grade 2, you got a grade 3, you just need a grade 1 or 0, and that's also why Lillian is here. Because, you know, just in case it does require Silver Thorns, you want to make sure you can lock Lillian. So 4 copies of Marsha because she's a good grade 2 ride target. And the second ability, while I hate using, has been proving useful, and also considering the fact it's free to use, there's no reason not to run it at 4, so 4. Grade 3 times, baby. Just like Maelstrom, I run all the versions of the card. So first up, we have 3 copies of the original Luquier, who I use rarely, and I've only ever ridden once willingly, and then I never used its skill. Silver Thorn Dragon Tamer, Luquier, grade 3, 200 Excel gift, 12k base. Yes, I know how it's supposed to be pronounced, but I choose to pronounce it the wrong way because I like the way I pronounce it more. Continues Vanguard rearguard during your turn. If you call 2 or more cards from your soul this turn, gets plus 10. Yeah, you see, that's partially why I hate it, because, like, the other 2 give power to everyone, or to be more exact, the front row, at least. This one only gives it to itself, which is fine for when it came out, but I still hate that skill. And act Vanguard once per turn. Counterblast 2 and discard a singular hand card. Call any number of cards with Silver Thorn in their card names from your soul to rearguard, and all your front rearguards get plus 3 for the turn. Yeah, okay, we can all see Venus is better, right? Like, yeah, this can net you more board than Venus can, because Venus is restricted to front row calling, but Venus is also only a counterblast of 1 and discard of 1. This is a counterblast of 2 and a discard of 1, and, yeah, Anna would only net back 1 of those, so 3 of her, like, she has her use. She does have her use, because she can get you a full board very quickly, and then give all your front row rear guards plus 3, and in the end game where you have a fuck ton of Excel gifts, and you just don't feel like using Venus or the reverse to kill them, you could rely on this, but I do genuinely prefer the other 2, and I will only ever ride this if it really comes down to it, but I will most likely just discard this and then just G-assist my way out of it instead of riding this. Nothing against Luquier, I just prefer the other 2. 3 copies. 3 copies of Silver Thorn Dragon Queen. Luquier, reverse. Okay, if you're wondering why this is at 3 and not at 4, unlike Venus, it's because Lillian can search it and shove it to soul, and since Lillian's at 4, yeah, it's most likely going to get shoved to soul, or I could just ride it normally. And there's also this, which will soul charge 3, so yeah. Anyways, and Romy as well, okay, and Lillian, okay, basically all the grade 1s more or less, and like one of the grade 2s. Anyways, skill, grade 3, 200 Excel gift, 12k base. Act, Vanguard, Soul, or Soul, once per turn. If you have a Vanguard Luquier in its card name, so you cannot use it at a grade 2 unless they give us a grade 2 Luquier. You have to use it on a grade 3. Counterblast 1 and lock 3 of your rear guards with different grades. Okay, they don't have to be Silver Thorns, but Marsha gives you 2 of them. I typically just choose to lock the back row. I typically call grade 1 from hand, call Marsha, use Marsha's skill, call a grade 3 from Soul, and then just call a, you know, another card, preferably a grade 2, just to lock the back row. But all around, it's really easy to pull off, especially because it's only counterblast of 1. And if it's on Vanguard Circle, choose up to 3 of your cards with Silver Thorn and their different card names. Oh, sorry, with different grades from your soul, call them to Rearguard Circle. And if it's in Soul, ride this card as stand. If you rode from Soul with this ability, you can activate the ability again on Van. Okay, so you don't have to call 3 from Soul, but I mean, obviously, if it's on Van, it wouldn't go off, but then if it's on Soul, you ride it instead of getting the call. But that's a way to get an extra Excel gift. And, you know, you can use it again, so if you're really willing to give up most of your attacks for that turn, you can counterblast one and then just call one extra unit. But then the other skill is Continuous Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, all your farmer units get +3 for each of your locked cards, active on both players' turns. So, if you're playing against Link Joker, so, okay, let's be more specific. If you're playing against Starvaders, you're giving them the biggest middle finger in all of history, because any locking will boost this thing up and make it harder for them to hit you. And even then, during your turn, if they're at grade 3 while you're doing this skill twice, that is +18 to your front row. So this is a 20. So this is a hard 30, and whatever else unit you call to that Excel marker is at the very least in the 30s. So yeah, Luquier reverse is really good. She gets you a F ton of power if you're willing to use it twice. Combined with Venus can get you like 3 Excel gifts in the same turn, which is really good. And then you combine it with like other cards to get Excel gifts. It's just bullshit. And it's a way to get a board. Yeah, definitely really good. This is what I think. This is what people complain about Hyaki, where you're gonna get less maneuver out of it. But if you're going second, you're getting a hell of a lot of power out of it. So 3 copies of Luquier reverse, definitely one of my least favorite of the reverses, just because I have to lock 3 rear guards for her skill, but it's still a good card, and I really like it, so I give it a 3 of, and it's really easy to pull off. And then our last unit is 4 copies of literally my favorite grade 3 and the only, or not favorite grade 3 in general, just favorite grade 3 in Pale Moon, and literally the only reason why I ever played Silver Thorns in the first place. Silver and Thorn, Dragon Empress, Venus, Luquier. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Excel Gift, 12k base, Continuous Van during your turn. If all your front row circles have units on them, all your front row units get +5. So your Excel Gifts and your rear guard circles in the front row, if all of them have units on them, your front row gets +5, including herself. Okay, that's pretty good. And then Act Vanguard once per turn. The reason why I played Silver Thorns in the first place. Counterblast 1 and discard a card, and call any number of cards from your soul with Silver Thorn in their card names to the front row rear guard circles. So unlike this one, you have to call in the front row, but that's fine. And at the end of the turn, or at the end of that turn, if you have 4 or more rear guards, shove all your rear guards to soul and get an imaginary gift Axel. You see, I loved using that skill because I could just call a board, shove my entire board to soul. They can no longer kill my board for activating retire effects. They can't just like ram into my board for on hit effects. They can't lock my board. They can't delete my board or bind my board. You can't do shit to it, and I get an Excel gift out of it. And the best part is, because of that ability, because the ability activates at the end of the turn, what you can do is ride this first, make sure this ends up in your soul somehow, ride this first, counterblast 1, discard 1, call a board to the front row, right? Okay, so this ability is now on standby, and then what you do is you pay another counterblast and you lock 3 of your units, because my typical play is like call a board, call Marsha to one of the columns, and then just call grade 3 out of it, who hopefully isn't reverse. Then use reverse the skill, counterblast 1, lock my back row, superior ride this. Cool, now I have 2 Excel markers, and I'm just gonna call maybe one less unit to that Excel circle, maybe I won't. I swing for at least 4 attacks, which is pretty nice. And then at the end of the turn, because this ability activates at the end of the turn, first off, the unit's gonna unlock. Then because this ability activates at the end of the turn, I shove all of my units to soul, get another Excel marker, and I draw. And now, at the end of my turn, I have no board, I have 3 Excel gifts, and next turn, I'm going to kill my opponent by netting an entire board of bullshit units that will guaranteedly kill them, especially if I stick on Luquier reverse, who will literally give all of my units +9. Makes gifts, swings hard, swings a lot, and I pity anyone who fights this. For a Venus Luquier. And then our gifts, we run 5 XL1s, 5 XL2s. There is no debate of which gift you should pick, but if there is, the difference between them, well, first off, the same similarities are when they are both acquired, they go to a new front or rear guard circle, first in the top left, then the top right, and they alternate between the 2. The differences are, XL1, the unit on that circle gets +10 during your turn, and XL2, the unit on that circle gets +5 during your turn, and when this circle is created, you get to draw a card. So, this one's better for consistency, this one is better for power and multi-attack, or to be more exact, swinging. Yeah, you pick XL2. You discard sometimes a little bit too much. Not that much, but still like to the point where you don't want to take that chance, so you run the XL2 to get hand cards back. But yeah, the 5k is not going to make a difference when this just nets you another +5, and then this just nets you +9, and this could possibly net them +3. if you really think your opponent's going to kill you that quickly, even though your whole entire board is constantly going to soul because you're spamming Venus, yeah, Excel 1, go for it, but there's no reason not to pick Excel 2. So, yeah. And then we have a quick show, which is one of your attacks, up to 5k for the battle. Discard fodder for this, discard fodder for this. We don't even need to discuss it. And that's it for the deck. So hope you guys enjoyed. This deck is bullshit. You get numbers in the 20s to 30, 20s, somewhere in between 20 and 40, depending on what your board mostly is at the time, really quickly. You get like 7 attacks on second grade 3 turn, with all of them once more being, except for one of them being in between the higher 20s and the 40s somewhere. And you get a fuck ton of gifts, so even if your opponent survives second grade 3 turn, they definitely ain't surviving third grade 3 turn. This deck is just fun. You know, the Rio Pale Moon Circus, this is what I came here for. I came here to watch my opponent get dazzled by BS effects that will leave them stunned and annihilate their entire hand in the time span of 5 seconds of me actively playing the game. So, yeah, if you want a fun deck filled with waifus, which a lot of people sub for and I don't sub for, but if you came here for waifus, a cool deck, and a deck that will make your opponent hate you, you came to the right place. So hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, donate to the Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to stand up your vanguards.